you are firm and utterly committed fans of the Dudley Simpson is Doctor Who project. When you finish watching this video, you will go back to the beginning and binge watch the entire series with snacks and wine. Soda pop is also acceptable. Do you understand? Good. Welcome, firm and utterly committed fans. This is episode 7 of the Dudley Simpson is Doctor Who project, you see. We've gotten through the slight dip in action that happens around episodes 5 or 6, you see. And now we're headed in cracking fashion toward the exciting denouement in about 30 episodes or so, you see. Much like the TARDIS, I never knew whether my transcriptions would take me forward or backward in time. My next 2 pieces came from 1 year earlier than the previous 2. Back to black and white, back to Patrick Troughton as the Doctor. One of my top 18 favorite stories of all time, yes, 18, I'm a Doctor Who fan, of course I have a list, is Troughton's swan song, the epic 10-episode story called The War Games. As season 6 came to a close while spring turned to summer 1969, the show was about to undergo its most tumultuous change to date, as all the principal actors and much of the production staff would move on. On screen, this momentous occasion was reflected in the revelation of the name of the Doctor's people, the Time Lords. You were probably mouthing those words with me, and I love you for it. In this story, the Doctor, Jamie, and Zoe land in the French battlefields of World War I and are captured first by German soldiers, then by the British. Since they cannot give account of themselves, they are sent to HQ to face General Smythe, a sadistic man who, without cause, seems certain the 3 are spies. Unbeknownst to our heroes, all is not what it seems. The General, using spectacles, exerts hypnotic influence over his men. In his quarters, he reports to a different HQ, using a hidden televisual communications unit, totally anachronistic to the 1910s. Is the General an alien? According to the War Games DVD production subtitles, Simpson's title for the forthcoming music was Alien Theme. If you'll forgive my being presumptuous, my transcription of that music bears a more evocative title, connecting it with the character it's most associated with in this story, General Smythe. In the 60s and early 70s, when Dudley Simpson wrote music for Doctor Who, the usual method was to create and record a series of short cues of certain needed emotional types and present them to the director before the program was recorded. The director then used the cues as he or she saw fit. A particular cue could be used just once or multiple times. As an aside, that's the reason why many of my first transcriptions were from this time period, because composing standalone pieces for the program makes them great candidates for standalone piano pieces. On a program like the War Games, lasting 10 weeks and 4 hours, it was not practical for Simpson to compose something like 2 hours of music. So there is, at a guess, only around 10 minutes of original music, generously reused and recycled across the episodes. The music of General Smythe is heard 18 times, at least once in episodes 1 through 8. It is most often associated with the General, but its menacing music underscores several other scenes. There are 3 primary versions heard in the War Games: the complete version, which was the source of my arrangement, a medium-length edit, which uses the first 3 measures, then jumps to the last 4, and a short edit condensed to the first 2 measures plus the final measure only. The complete version happens only twice. In episode 1, in his quarters, General Smythe is interrupted by the Sergeant Major, entering unannounced with tea. He reads him the riot act. Then in episode 2, the music adds gravitas to the scene where Lady Jennifer and Lieutenant Carstairs are beginning to question what's happening around them. Simpson's orchestration is entirely acoustic, with some oscillation added electronically. The score calls for trumpet, clarinet, horn, probably French, piano, organ, timpani, and percussion, played by either 4 or 5 musicians, including, as was usually the case, Simpson himself on the piano. That's why I love Dudley Simpson. He's a pianist. The piece is in the triple meter of 12/8 time, heard most clearly by the accompaniment chords in the right hand. They are a very rich F minor harmony with added 7th, E flat, and 11th, B flat. The left hand underneath is imitating the timpani, playing the F natural, C natural bass line of the piece's home key. In the actual score, there is a very subtle, long clarinet note in addition, on G natural, the 9th of F minor. It wasn't possible to hold this note and do everything else on piano, so the best I could do was add this note to the left-hand timpani part, so at least it was present some of the time. The melody starts in the horn, played by the right hand on top of the chords. In the third measure, the harmony makes a slight change because the melody dips to E natural, thus making F minor major 7. Also in the third measure, a muted trumpet joins with an accompanying melody. There's a neat contrast between the 2 lines, because while the main melody uses E natural, the accompanying melody sticks to E flat, so the 2 lines dance around each other with subtly changing color. During this melodic duet, the accompaniment chords have to be transferred to the left hand, so the rhythmic figure is slightly altered because of it. Also, the chords are reduced to 2 notes to stay out of the way of the duet. After a few measures of this dance, the trumpet's ending D natural is held over through a much more dramatic harmonic shift. The timpani transposes down a half step to E natural, B natural. The harmony shifts, meanwhile, to an augmented triad, suggesting B minor major 7, but with E in the bass is a nebulous hybrid chord. The horn melody resumes alone with some juicy passing tones. And as it comes to rest on D natural, the harmony shifts to E minor 7, suggesting in retrospect that the previous harmony was a kind of suspension that is finally resolved. The muted trumpet dovetails with the horn to take over the melody again, returning to a sense of F minor. The harmony, though, goes on a brief and highly chromatic progression that settles back on the original F minor 11 harmony, and this is my favorite part. The bass line goes on an almost symmetric journey from F down to F. The pattern is this: down a minor third, down a half step, down a minor third. This is implied but not written. Down a half step, down a minor third, down a half step, and that lands us on F. There are some neat clarinet counter lines underneath the melody during this progression that I slightly adapted and added. Upon landing on F minor 11 again, the trumpet's line holds momentarily as the original horn line resumes underneath it. The melody settles on E natural and F minor major 9 is the final harmony. A short but multi-layered piece. Thanks very much for watching episode 7 of the Dudley Simpson is Doctor Who project. You will subscribe, like, share, and comment nicely. Enjoy your binge watching and snacks.